today, his career will never be the same. If you heard the rumors about him having a 10-year protection order against him, it's true. If you heard about him being accused of stalking with the court finding probable cause to issue a protection order, that is also true. What about the fact that he cannot own a firearm anymore? Yeah, that's true as well. But if he violates his court order, he'll likely end up in jail. Or even worse, if he's caught owning a firearm, he's looking at 5 to 10 years in jail. How did he get here? Stick around and I'll let you know. Today, I'll be discussing the protection order against Tectone, how we got here, where it started, because it didn't likely just pop up out of nowhere. This has been going on for a while. And in order to understand this, we must take it back to the beginning. You see, this is Tectone. And at one point in time, he was dating Pinkchu. This was his living girlfriend. How did we get a protection order? It started right here when she made this post back in November 2024, talking about how when victims come forward of SA, they get silenced by clout chasers, orbiters, CEOs trying to line their pockets from advertisers. She will go on there and reiterate that it's baffled how the streaming industry acts like a mini Hollywood, which it does. Blacklisting victims so no one will hear them out. No one wants to support them publicly, so victims are afraid to speak up, and millionaires that abuse women just continue to get away with it. Now, she explicitly didn't say Tectone's name, but I think it's safe to say that she was talking about Tectone. It's multiple women with the same stories and multiple witnesses of persons belittling or degrading them publicly in front of people. He would chime in and say, I hate that I even have to make this post, but I can't stay silent anymore. For nearly a half a year, Pink has been subtweeting about me, spreading accusations that are completely untrue. I tried to handle this via the legal system, but Pink knows the loopholes in defamation. I don't think she knows the loopholes because maybe the allegations against him may be a little bit truer than we think. Right? August 21st, 2024.
So this is how it all started, is because of these tweets.
She filed for a protection order. She would go on alleged SA or stalking. Respondent has engaged.
So just a little detail about protection orders. Like usually protection orders are temporary. They're like, I'm waiting for a lawsuit and I need, additional protection during the time that I'm waiting because this could take a long time, or it's for the duration of the lawsuit. I think Henry will explain that this is a more, it's like a higher level of protection order. There is a name for that he's going to say in a second.
Conduct that constitutes family violence or a felony offense involving family violence against Pinkchu, SA, and or stalking. It goes deep. She requests that the courts remove his firearms, and she wanted to make the courts aware that she is no longer living with him.
Yeah, okay. I see some people in chat just confused about it. We're VTubers, so you guys have probably heard of Frame is also a VTuber. She used to be Tectone's ex-wife. That's a whole other rabbit hole that we'll have to cover another time because I haven't even had time to go through all of it. But there was also drama between the two of them while they were divorcing. He started dating Pink. I believe there was like this car clip that really went viral between Tectone and Frame arguing in a car. He got a lot of heat back then, but I feel like I remember Pinkchu coming out and defending him. That's kind of how he got scot-free. Since he got away from that drama scot-free. Since then, Pink has rescinded these comments that she did on Tectone after she dated him. More on that later. But that's just like a very, very vague TLDR. This is like old, LSF streamer lore.
When we get to her story, this is her declaration from her words. They were together from December 2022 to July 2024. Keep those dates in mind. The first incident is a bit graphic. She was lying in bed.
Okay, all the incidents are this protective order that she's requesting is more of a permanent solution. It's different than the usual temporary protective orders that there are during a case. And it's probably because he violated his temporary one. Like, objectively, he was dumb to talk about it. And we're going to see clips later where he like explicitly mentioned her name even on streams. So also another thing that I noticed and that we'll see towards the end of the video is that protective orders don't usually make you like unable to carry firearms. The protective order that was put on Tectone does. That usually is checked off, but in his case, it was checked, like checked in. And then after that, if he violates this protective order, the 10-year one that he got sentenced with, he could go to jail. However, this was a civil case. I think you guys know this already. It's been spoken about a lot. This is a civil case. It's not a criminal case. He's not a convicted criminal. He's not going to jail. It's just a civil case for the protective order, the extended one.
With Tectone, he asked her to perform something on him. She had recently gotten lip injections done and told him her lips hurt, and she did not want to perform that task. He then pushed her head down onto his...
Wouldn't Legal Mindset Vid provide a full and more complete view? Legal Mindset took down his video, the live stream. All he has is the fast facts, and in the fast facts, he shows no documents at all. And I watched it, and there's very little facts in it. We're gonna watch it after, but you'll see what I'm talking about. He also privated the part 1 of his stream where there are documents shown. So we'll look at both of them, but you'll see I went into a deep rabbit hole today, and what I found was crazy.
Lower extremities, and didn't let go until...
This guy's a demon, by the way. Like, he shows up to court cases in person to cover them. I don't think he did it for this case, but he usually does good work.
She put her mouth on his body part. Her lips was hurting significantly. The filler had migrated around her face because of this incident. They asked, did she go to the police?
That is crazy and disgusting, by the way. I don't want to believe Tectone was a monster. I found him funny, but he had a lot of haters. Just to be clear, there's still a lot of stuff that needs to come out. Tectone said he was gonna stream on Sunday, okay? Before going into this is my disclaimer. Like, I even spoke to Tectone a few times. I'm mutuals with him on Twitter, but I feel like this deserves a fair shake. If he actually did those things, then he deserves to be criticized for it. I'm open to both interpretation, but I'm seeing a lot of people just glazing him and immediately like just brushing away the court ruling based on some speculations and some statistics that when I looked into it, I did not find them to be grounded in any significant source, facts, or statistic even. So more on that later. But until somebody sends me real concrete proof of what they claim, I'm gonna give this a fair shake.
Police? No, but I later reported this incident to the police around January 22, 2025. Roughly, was that 7 months later? I know a lot of people would have liked her to go to police a lot sooner, but she didn't. But here we are. But the most important part you need to take away from this is she did require medical treatment. Because
this is important. This will come back later. Is there even plausible deniability after the court stuff? Not only that, I don't even know. Dude, we're gonna see later in the documents exactly what they state about what he's able to talk about. How is he gonna be able to talk about without breaking his protective order is my other question. Like, what is he going to be legally able to say to defend himself?
This is going to come up later in the court case. Now, incident number 2 is kind of like more of the same. She was crying by the side of the bathtub. Tectone grabbed her head and shoved it towards his lower extremities and said that crying turned him on. Did she call the police? No, but she did report it with the January 22 police report. So there is a police report of this incident. Incident number 3, pretty much the same thing. This time took place in March. John told her that he wanted a favor from her, but she had recently gotten her breast augmentation and was told by a doctor to lay on her stomach while she was recovering. She told Tectone this. She said she did not want to perform that service that he seems to continuously want because of this, right? So while she was sitting up, John pushed her onto his legs on her back. So she was laying on his legs, then pushed her head to his lower extremities yet again and forced her mouth onto his specific body part. She reiterates, he would not let go of my head unless I complied. So she gave into his demand until he was finished.
Yeah, it's pretty gross if it's true, obviously. The thing is, she didn't file a police report right away. She filed a police report like a year later. And, a lot of people probably wish that she filed a police report right away. There's a lot of reason why somebody wouldn't file a police report right away. Obviously, it's often the case in, you know, domestic abuse case. I'm not saying it's definitely the case in this. I'm just saying there's a lot of explanation for not doing it that is common in those kind of cases. You know, fear, you think you're in love with the person, there's manipulation involved, yada yada. There's tons of things.
Shameful, right? Shameful. She will also provide a summary of their living.
Is there actual evidence? No, because these kind of cases, there's very little evidence. Like, okay, I see a lot of people on Twitter say, "Oh my God, this was there was no criminal case." It's extremely hard to prove SA in criminal. Like, you need evidence for this stuff, but usually when it happens between two people in a bedroom where no one else is a witness of it, how can you have tangible proof? It becomes a he say, she say thing. So probably why this is a civil case and not a criminal case. They have like a lower threshold of evidence required. Like, you need this to be true for like 51% and more. Meanwhile, a criminal case, it needs to be proven true beyond the shadow of a doubt. There's all of that plays into it. Yeah, this is a civil case, but in order to get a protective order, there has to be a reasonable understanding that Tectone did these acts.
Arrangements, talking about when they first moved in.
But yeah, if Pink called this in immediately, then Tectone would be in way worse case back then. Yeah, if she immediately after this happened, you know, went to get a grape kit done or file a police report, you know, for to have this just as a proof, then it would have been different. Or I don't know, taking pictures, things like that. But she did for the first act that we watched. She did get a medical examination at one point, and that's going to come into play in the court case. Like for the filler incident, she went to go see a doctor for that because her filler moved. But that's going to come into play.
The agreement was that she would not pay rent, but just perform favors on him whenever he wanted. She felt like she had no other option but to comply. Around February or March 2023, she told him she didn't want to live by this agreement anymore and she wanted to pay rent instead. However, he found other ways to coerce her to doing this certain favor for him when she didn't want to. For example, he would hold over her head things that he would do for her or buy for her and say that she owed him. This is some truly diabolical stuff. And if she didn't comply, he would continuously guilt trip her. These are her words. You know,
yeah, this is horrible stuff. If this is true, it's horrible.
About that time that they lived together, he also would record her when she performed certain tasks on him. There were multiple instances where he would record these moments without her consent. There were also at least 2 incidents where during the act, John pushed her head onto his body part without her consent and caused her to throw up. These incidents happened so often, it became difficult for me to remember. Wow, that is. She moved out July 2024, and she made a post on X talking about her experiences, which we have right here, which we clearly saw. But after she moved out, John threatened to post revenge porn if she did not take the post down. This made her afraid because she knew he had been recording her. He had consistently live streamed and posted rants online, claiming that she was attempting to ruin his public image.
Okay, so this is Tectone talking about Pinkchu in the midst of their legal proceedings, where it's likely that Pinkchu can't talk because he's in the middle of a fucking court case.
Why you think Pink ain't talk about me no more? Y'all ever notice that? Why y'all think Pink don't talk about me no more? Cause she knows she's fucked. Cause she knows she's fucked.
How's that working out now, T?
Every now and then, this is what...
How's that working out now, you fucking rapist?
She does. This is what she does. All she'll do is pin. All she'll do is pin old tweets. She won't tweet anything new because she knows she's fucked. Yep.
That
Every
didn't
now and then
age
she tweets a
well.
little kitty face. Won't say shit, which is weird. Because
But so when he spoke of that, there was already a temporary protective order and he broke it by saying this, if I'm understanding this right. That's so dumb. That's so stupid.
before she had all this to talk about. But man, Pink, if only you knew the shit that I knew. But don't worry, you'll find out. And what's crazy is, Pink, and I'm gonna let you know, I would still forgive you if you apologized. Publicly, of course. That's what's crazy. But you won't, and it's gonna be great to see what happens. But it is a shame, because I hate how you have to act like things were bad. It's truly a shame. And now you've built your entire image on lies. And do you know what's gonna happen when those lies crumble, Pink? You lose everything.
Oh,
Because you're
dude.
Yeah,
Oh, watching this back now is.
yeah, like he should listen to lawyers. Do not talk. I'm sure his lawyer told him not to say anything. No. Yeah, and you know when at one point he started, he said he was on vacation and he didn't. I said this the last time I covered this, but he wasn't. He was tweeting all the time, but he wasn't streaming anymore. But he was posting some videos on YouTube about some ongoing dramas from his like porch or whatever. People speculated back then it's because he was not allowed to stream because he had because of the court hearing, because he had broken his protective order too many times.
Just so delicious. It's so delicious to watch this back now, man.
a liar. Yep, and that's what's gonna happen. Fucking insane. You couldn't just say things didn't work out. You couldn't just say.
So yeah, this is one tweet that is sort of supporting what's being said here. The other clip that I wanted to show you guys that I've kind of mistimed this was about the lip filler stuff, where he does reference this incident. I do have this tweet from Pinkchu that was cited in this case. How are you guys supposed to feel if a guy is abusive, makes you cry, and shoves your head on his crotch and demands you ask him off, and his excuse is emotion just turn me on when you cry? Or when you ask that you don't feel comfortable doing something sexual and he records you and demands you to stop making faces and pretend you like it. Or you say you don't want to do it anymore and he shoves your head down till you throw up. Guilt trips you into giving BGs and say do your job, you don't pay rent. I took you to a water park so you owe me, and all you can do is sleep upstairs because you know what he's going to keep telling you to do. He doesn't touch you, doesn't have sex with you, just keeps you around as a BG machine, degrades you, makes you feel ugly. Don't wear baggy clothes, straighten your hair, at least wear eyeliner around the house. Your self-worth is totally crushed. I hate that people warned me. I didn't listen because I was so manipulated. I hate that I was lied to and another girl who went through worse was trying to come forward. Me and her are good now. And I'm wondering if is she referring to Frame here? Me and her are good now, but I should have listened. When you're in it, you feel blind to reason. I see some comments that are worried. I just want to let you know I am out. I have my own place and I'm safe. I don't want to worry anyone. I've been taking it one day at a time since then.
On around January 15th, he made a post on X saying he would publicly post their text conversations, videos between them online. But she acted fast, got with an attorney, hit him with a cease and desist. But despite having a cease and desist, he still would go on February 6th and call her a liar, and he threatened to sue her for defamation, which is right here. But, according to him, she knows the quote unquote loopholes, if you will. She says, hey, I have not heard from him since November 2024, but he's
filler clip. She has a she put an arc. There is a clip where he mods help. I swear I have it in my document. There was so much information that I put it that even my document became disorganized. Okay, I found the clip.
And I hate to be this guy. So this is obviously a very beautiful woman. We can all agree about that. So I have learned the hard, don't you fuck? Oh man, I'm gonna say it, man. So let me tell you why these are so hot, but in practicality, they are the worst thing to ever exist. So lip fillers, they do make your lips look fuckable as shit. But the problem is anybody who has lip fillers cannot suck dick worth a damn.
Right.
He kind of just, in a way, kind of confirmed that the incident happened, right? That the oral happened with the fillers. Maybe not, maybe he didn't confirm like the rest of the stuff, like the way she describes it, but we kind of have a confirmation that it happened, right?
Literally caught in 4K, bro. Uh-oh. Wow, you're talking about the exact thing that's referenced in the court document? Interesting.
Yeah.
It sucks. It sucks. Because if they suck too, and I hate to be...
Like, this is not gonna play well. This is not gonna help him.
It sucks. Because if they suck too hard, it'll fuck up their lip fillers. So unless they're able to deep throat your dick
Wait, he actually says that? Didn't he just confirm it?
and just let you throat fuck them with their mouth open, it's just not worth it. It's really not. It's so lame. It's so fucking lame, bro. It's so fucking lame. So that's why I stopped giving a fuck about the fake lip look. It's just there's no point, man.
Also,
Yeah,
that's-
how would you know unless... Pokelaws wonder why Emeru hasn't caught any flag posts Tectone Lakari because she still follows them. Well, about that, she did drop hints that she would talk about it soon. Here, I literally just saw this as I went live.
Because I was so fucking tilted earlier today. Oh my fucking god, but I feel fine now, honestly. Yo, Mary Mydro, thank you for the 18 months. It was seeing that fucking chorb. Like, it pisses me off, but it's like hard to think about anything else. Why tilted? Oh my gosh. I'm like still debating if like I actually want to like talk about this stuff and fully give attention to it. But so you guys know how like I never really like talk about like personal stuff or like drama on stream at all unless it's like I kind of like have to for like a certain point. Well, I would say that like for the most part doing that has only pros. Like I've never really regretted choosing to be that kind of content creator, but there is one con that when you don't say things or like don't like talk about super personal stuff all the time or like your feelings about certain things, it leaves people room to like lie and make shit up, and it's so fucking annoying. But I'm like, I don't think normal people really like, it's like who fucking cares? Like I don't know. No one's that worried about my life unless they're weirdos, so I'm like, why even? I don't know. I might still talk about it, but I'm still deciding. I swear, like for so many years, like honestly, like probably like 5 years, I don't know why every time like something crazy happens, people just are like, well, what does she think about this? And I'm like, do I need to, like, am I like the fucking police or something? Like, oh, what do you mean? I didn't know my opinion was so important to you people. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, literally, I feel like literally every time there has been a situation that like directly involved me, I have always like talked about it, but when it's not, it's like I said, I feel like for the most part, it's 99% pros to choosing not to, you know, be a part of people farming that kind of stuff. But it does allow people to lie and pretend to be stupid, and like it's like, bro.
I'm not sure what they're saying about her, but I guess they want her take on it. I mean, Asmund said that he wouldn't talk about it, and I sort of understand why.
Still was saying things about
Let's go back to the video. We took a few detours.
her on stream. Even on May 12th, 2025, he would say something that he was going to go nuclear, you know, when this case ended. We're still waiting on him to address the elephant in the room. I'm sure it's going to be quick, right, Tectone? He accused her of swatting him, which, you know, obviously she vehemently denied. These instances caused her significant mental and emotional harm, as he has a large following and she received a bunch of hateful comments and messages frequently from people who watch his content. Now, the biggest part right here is every day she is afraid that he will act on his threats and post the intimate videos or photos of her, and she fears he won't stop posting things about her online. He obviously knows where she lives, and she's concerned that if he becomes angry enough, that he will show up at her house unannounced to harm or threaten her, and she wants this court order for him to stay away.
So this is basically the gist of it. This is a reason why she wants to have the permanent protective order, why it's being escalated now. And at this point, Tectone here, he requests the medical records of Pink Xiu,
Now,
and it's granted.
as this case would go on, right? This case would go on for a while because it really just technically concluded, if you will, a month ago, this month, yesterday, if you will, with the protection order finally being brought out.
And yeah, just a segue on the protective order. So Tectone's, like, the dates kind of match up. Tectone's break from streaming was on September 3. And then this guy here, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Like, the dates line up. Protective order, it was on 8/21/25. The protective order extension, September 3rd, and on September 10. I remember back then it was a rumor, but the more info comes out, the more I could see it making sense. So he was citing mental health problems back then, but then people saw that the protective order was also extended on September 3. And it was also extended on September 3 and then extended again a week later.
But Tectone remembered, and part of his defense, that she went to the doctor. Okay, so he requested her medical records from July 28th, 2024 through August. And guess what? He got them. It was granted. See this right here?
Also, I double checked, and Tectone did show his name online before. So, you know, we're not leaking this here.
Granted, he got them. This is him getting the medical records on November 25th. And of those medical records, there were 126
That's a lot.
pages. So he saw these, and maybe they corroborated her story. Before trial, she requested that they extend the ex parte protection order on the grounds that he keeps posting about her. So imagine this. He knows he has this protection order against him. They know they're going for their trial, and he's still posting about her. And she attached these two shots. Hey, they're going to hate what I found out today. Your loss is now even more inevitable. Now I wait. A picture of some chopped off heads, which could be interpreted either way. And next one is someone saying, hey, he's subtweeting a victim of SA. Now, as we keep going forward, when the trial came about, which took place on the 23rd, January 23rd, Pink requested that a doctor testify via Zoom on her.
All of the documents are watermarked unofficial Tankrat. Well, most of the ones that are making their rounds online. It's the same one LM reviewed, but there's the new ones that came out. But what's good about these is that all of the names are redacted, at least. He kind of did the job for us.
Behalf, not Tectone, who saw the court docs. So this guy who was
126 medical pages, not a lot. Okay, I didn't know that, but thank you. Oh, that's like 3 days? Okay.
one of the leading plastic surgeons joined the trial to say, hey, whatever they witnessed, whatever it was, it must have been compelling enough. Whatever she said was compelling enough for the protection order to be granted. So here is a copy of it. We're going to quickly go through it. It was granted at trial, but here's the paperwork documented on the 27th.
I feel like that's big. So remember how in the first incident, when the fillers move, she went to go see a doctor? Well, Tectone called that doctor as a witness. He's a surgeon on the board of surgeon. And whatever he said, I mean, it convinced the judge enough to believe that the events did happen.
Right here, protection order against Tectone. He is the respondent. She is the applicant. What happened? The court finds that there is reasonable grounds to believe that Tectone committed SA and stalking against Pink Chew. So this is the court. This is the judge saying, hey, based on all the testimony, all the evidence available to him, yeah, he did that. And that's what the judge concluded. Yes, the relationship, there are former dating parties, and they were members of the same family or household. We know that to be true. Conditions or terms, right? So he obviously cannot commit further acts of family violence against Pikachu or her family. He cannot communicate.
That's like standard stuff.
In any way, shape, or form. He cannot communicate in a threatening or harassing way directly or indirectly with a person, which is Pikachu, protected by this order. And it's more so, hey, do not communicate a threat through any person. So he can't say, hey, go someone else, go threaten her on his behalf. So as we keep going, he is not to go within 200 yards of Pikachu, according to this protection order, not to go into 200 yards of where she's at, her residence. So he can't go or be around her out in public, and he can't go to her house. I mean, this is pretty much standard stuff. He cannot go to a child care facility or a school which she attended if she wants further education. He can't just pop up at the school and say, oh, coincidentally, I just happen to be in the neighborhood. And even if on the odd chance he was to see her, he needs to go the other way. They are not messing around. But I think the thing that's going to cause him the hardest part of his journey.
But this is okay. So this also was all over Twitter. But this part, what he's about to read out, is making me wonder what he's going to be able to say on his stream on Sunday.
Is not to engage in conduct that reasonably likely to harass, annoy, alarm, abuse, torment, or embarrass when that conduct is directed specifically towards Pikachu which he is known to do online. Okay. I mean, obviously not harm her, not transfer or dispose property mutually owned by them. I think ties have been severed. Not track or monitor the personal property or a motor vehicle in her possession. Don't follow her. Not
Obviously,
possess or buy or attempt to buy, receive, in any way obtain possession, ownership, or control of a firearm.
So from my understanding, this part is not usually checked in on protective orders. The fact that it is included there means that they had, I suppose, enough, not doubts, but reasons to believe that it could be harmful in any way.
Firearm parts, ammunition, unless he's a cop. So
yeah, it's not always, but it is included for a reason.
His right to bear arms, which I'm sure he loved to do so much, that is terminated immediate. Well, it's not immediately. We're going to get through to the point where he has to turn over his firearms, but he already signed an affidavit saying that he doesn't have one. Not attempt to prevent or dissuade protected person from attending, hearing, or...
Yeah, they're all in Texas. Yeah. Reasonable suspicion. Thank you, Ethelward.
Testifying or making an report to law enforcement. So he can't intimidate her. Now they say see Exhibit A for additional conditions, which we're going to get to. Also, if he
doesn't have one, he was talking about the guns he owned in his streams. Well, this is really recent, right? This order, it went in like a few days ago. Maybe he got rid of his guns after, because he had to sign that he doesn't own any.
Violates this, yes. $4,000 fine, just, maybe
I
if
hope
you go
that
around
he did.
there or something like that, or a year in jail, but the penalties get a little bit more severe, right? So this is more iterating. Even if he had his CCW for Texas, yeah, that is disqualified. There will be no concealed carry for him, no constitutional carry. He can't even move to Arizona. Felons can actually own firearms as long as they don't have a protection order against them, but he cannot. And yes, the duration of it is 10 years. It expires January 23, 2036. She can...
That is abnormal. Like this doesn't happen frequently. Yeah, he had guns before. He deleted the Twitter image of him holding it. I would like to hope that he got rid of them once he signed the affidavit.
Actually get it extended, because when it expires, I think...
Yeah, 10 years is crazy. 10 years is crazy.
Maybe a hearing. So if in that time he posts something, or for whatever reason whatsoever, it can get extended further. So he needs to stay on a straight and narrow. Now we keep going. This is the...
Yeah, Texas court disarming someone sounds pretty bad. And I found a lot more stuff on Texas courts too. That's also pretty bad.
Stalking protective order. In lieu of finding that family violence occurred, the court finds that probable cause exists to believe that Tectone committed an offense under the penal code for stalking. And the nature of the scheme, or of course, conduct engaged by Tectone in committing the offense indicates that Tectone is likely in the future to engage in conduct prohibited by this section. Therefore, the court grants the application and enters this into the protection order against Tectone. Now, how was he stalking her? I guess maybe electronically. I'm not sure. That's something that maybe the transcripts, if they come out. Now, here is Exhibit A. So
this was the picture of the gun that Miskif retweeted that he deleted. Might have to get rid of the gun here. This is the photo we were talking about. Blue Moon Zidian, thank you so much for the resub. Thank you. It's demon time, Rima. Yeah, it's demon time in here. Hi, Yuffie Bun.
So he can't communicate her with any manner whatsoever, including through phone calls, emails, text, any kind of social media, or any kind of communication through third parties, i.e. friends, like Tail Pink, I said such and such. He can't do that. He must relinquish firearms in his possession by Monday, February 2nd, 2026 to law enforcement.
See, so he still has a couple of days to relinquish his guns, I suppose.
Not disseminate, reproduce, or share any kind of photographic, video, electronic, or digital media that is recording of Pinkchu that displays an image of her. So he can't post any pictures of her. This is likely because he admitted that, yeah, they will record the acts that she will perform on him. Now, he's responsible for the court costs. More importantly, the court orders Tectone to pay attorney fees in the amount of $15,000 to Pinkchu. And there's some additional language for this right here. And I believe it's right here. So He owes her $15,000. It's ordered that the judgment is awarded to Pink Chu in the amount of $15,000 for reasonable attorney fees, expenses, and costs with interest at 6.75% per year, compounded annually from the date the judgment is signed until paid. So actually from yesterday, but it's annually. I imagine he has this type of money so he can just run her money. The judgment for which execution issue is awarded against Tectone. He can choose to pay her by check, money order, electronic funds transfer, mail, or directly to her. And this order may be enforced for fees, expenses, and costs by any means available for enforcement of a judgment. So look, she can literally garnish his check. And here is his firearm affidavit. This is him saying, yes, I understand I am prohibited from owning a firearm. Yes, I do not own any firearms and none can be loaned to me or rented by me. So he can't go to the gun range. If you see him at a gun range, hey, you got to make that call because he's not supposed to be there. He understands that if he breaks this, he can be risking 5 to 10 years and a fine of $250,000. Here is his signature that looks like electronically signed yesterday. So let me know what you think. In the end, he can appeal this and say that the judge abused their discretion. Maybe it's too intense. Maybe there's new evidence, but I do not think he has a leg to stand on in getting this overturned, tossed out, or even modified in the slightest if he even applies for a modification. But I'm sure he'll address the elephant in the room. Let me know what you think in the comments section. If you like this video format,
kind of wild, right? I sure hope that he doesn't break that, or he might be in serious trouble. Okay, I'm trying to think what I'm gonna show next. One of Tectone's friend was saying that he would appeal.
Tectone's going through some stuff right now. He let me know he's going to be appealing that decision. We've seen the courts do things that are not good. Same thing with Vic Mignogna. He had to deal with very, very difficult circumstances. So Tectone's going through.
So I saw all kinds of speculations on that. Some people were saying that even him telling his friends about it and his friends speaking to it on stream could be considered breaking it. I have no clue. I can't wade in on that. But who is this tactical Templar guy? Well, this guy is also this guy. You cannot grape your wife or husband. Consent is implied since you have become one flesh under God. I think when people like this are siding with you, you probably don't want them to side with you. It probably just looks worse. Like, what the fuck? Like, they're not sending their best. No. This is Tectone's strongest defender? No. He is truly living the Templar life. That's crazy. That is crazy. Oh yeah, this tweet. So, in the transcripts, when was the last time you saw therapy? He responds with a registered professional. I don't recall. I don't believe I've ever. Just checking in with my homies and seeing if I'm okay and talking about my problems. That's about it. Then it's QRTing a tweet where he's replying to Dantes, aka Doeniel. Was no jury? Okay, thank you. Doeniel saying, "Hey brother, therapy changed my life and there's no shame in it. I might take some time to find the right one, but it's all worth it. This will be a huge step towards becoming the man you want to be." Like, okay. Also didn't age well. I don't know where he lied. Did he lie to the court? Did he lie on his tweet? I don't know, but he lied somewhere. Also, another question I have is, the 5 lawyers that Tectone had, were they actually like 5 lawyers in court, or was it because there was several states involved, or was it just other lawyers that co-signed this? Like, was there actually 5 lawyers hired in this? I wanted to check. I wanted to finish watching the Legal Mindset stream, but he privated it, so I could watch now. The other thing that I have to watch because this is not available, I'm gonna have to sit through 10 hours of Miskiff reading the transcript. Send me a lot of energy for that one. Yeah, oh god, I know. There was also this. Court transcripts reveal that Tectone acknowledged he had to make a political pivot after losing a chunk of his audience. So if I can explain on that, when all of these things came out, I lost pretty much a large chunk of my audience, and content creators kind of have to pivot what they're doing to other topics once they lose access to a demographic. So originally I never really covered anything political or talking about it, you know, white privilege. But yeah, I would say my content definitely had to find a new route on how to be successful online. And so, unfortunately, I had to make a little bit more extreme comments to be successful in the career that I'm in. Unfortunately. So does he even believe the stuff he says, or like is it just all part of a grift? So Hex Juice.
TLDR, I'm going up.
Hex Juice is somebody who's collabed with Tectone before, used to be friends with Tectone, made a post on Twitter. Oh, sorry, made a post in one of her videos. Made a Google Docie. Is the Google Docie long? Let's see. Okay, we can read this. We could read this right now, then go into the legal mindset fast facts. That way, you know, we break up the video watching in 2 segments. It's been a while. Some of you might have guessed given my complete absence from the internet, but I will not be returning to content creation. I found myself compelled to talk about why that is now, due to the release of the court documents regarding Pink and Tectone. While there are many reasons for my permanent retirement from content creation, the primary one is that I know that Tectone would never allow me to be free of my association with him. I deeply regret my association with him. I blocked all... Okay, wow. Okay. I blocked all my contact with Tectone around September of 2025, around Charlie Kirk's death. I also deleted the official Hex Juice Twitter at that time. Oh, so it's... I thought she left way before that. I had been watching his pivot into radical alt-right politics from the sidelines since early 2025, and the shift he made after Charlie Kirk's death became a breaking point for me. I met Tectone at a pivotal moment in my life, and I was an incredibly small, very successful content creator on the verge of quitting. While I did not always agree with the things Tech said or did even before meeting him, I felt that I understood his point of view and admire how entertaining his streams were. When he reached out to me in February 2024, I had just barely gotten 1K subs on YouTube after 2 years of hard work. His acknowledgement meant the absolute world to me. After meeting Tectone, I felt like I had a true friend who would always have my back. He helped me through a conflict with a much larger creator, defended me against another small YouTuber that essayed me and tried to assassinate my character for over 6 months, and generally was quite kind and welcoming to me at first. To be 100% clear, I do feel like, you know, this is also the impression that I got of him. This is somebody, Tectone is somebody that has a lot of connections and a lot of friends in the space. He also picked a lot of fights with a lot of people and has a lot of haters. But at the end of the day, you know, he did knew a lot of people. And I think that does play into how many people hesitating into speaking out now or just, you know, commenting on the lawsuit. I think a lot of people are more quiet because once you know, when you speak to somebody, then they're not just a user number 12345 on the internet. You know, they're a real person, they're a human. You feel a little bit more bad criticizing them. You're a little bit more unsure. You don't want to, you know, you don't want to condemn somebody when they might be innocent. So that all plays into that, which is why I think people are giving too much shit for Mugen, because he's a big voice. There's all the loudest voices are hardcore defending him. There's not a lot of really loud voices speaking up against him. And Mugen, you know, he did that. He took the risk there. And maybe it was not worded perfectly, but he did try to do the right thing by him. So I think that's my take on that. As for me, as I said before, I think I want to take a look at this from all sides, and I do want to give this a fair shake. To be 100% clear, this was before his shift into alt-right politics. These events all occurred while he was a gacha content creator. While he sometimes made some off comments, I believed him to be closer to center-left when I first met him due to statements he made to me personally. So wait, is all of her things are going to be because of political, like, mismatch? I was aware of the flaws that were publicly known about Tectone at this time around Feb to August of 2024, but they were not the same as now in 2026. To my knowledge, people primarily disliked him at the time for being disagreeable and overly confrontational within the gacha community. If he had been spewing the vile, dangerous rhetoric he does now, I doubt we would have ever even met. We originally met because I agreed with him regarding an interpersonal situation with another gacha creator. I did agree with many of his takes, which were very pro-consumer and anti-corpo in the gacha community, but I often disagreed with certain aspects of his views or how he went about presenting them. Over time, however, a pattern emerged around this that became very toxic. While I'm not familiar at all with Tectone's present fan base, if you knew of Tectone and gacha at the same time, you knew that his community was absolutely vicious. I've heard that too. I've heard that his community was particularly vicious and he never made any efforts to calm them down or make them not attack other people. There was a culture of harassment and bullying in his community that was outright encouraged and asked for by Tectone on numerous occasions. Alright, oh my god, she's literally said what I heard. He would directly tell his audience on stream to seek out and attack those who would disagree with him. I began to understand that I could either silence my direct disagreement or suffer the harassment of the community. Tectone was so much larger than any other gacha creator that his fanbase was probably bigger than that of gacha itself, given that I was growing content creator with relatively successful for the niche streams and YouTube videos, and one of his close friends. I felt the effects of the community he fostered very strongly. As time went on, I struggled more and more to feel free to express my actual opinions, especially if they were not wholly in line with Tectone's. I often would avoid addressing parts of a situation I had problem with or tried to deflect with jokes when I could. Not only was the community very vocal in chat or comment section, but some of his mods and editors would constantly clip my streams and send them to him live. When I made a joke at his expense or disagreed with him, he would watch the clips and comment on them negatively. Wait, really? Spurring his audience to heckle me on my own live streams, I felt like I was constantly monitored. Okay, because before I read this paragraph, I was gonna say that, you know, I do have some friends that I don't fully, that like we diverge on political opinions, but, you know, we talk about other stuff. And at the end of the day, I think I would like to be a person that people can come to when they have a problem, when they have an issue. I like to be the mediator between different parties. So, I think if you are a friend with somebody and, you know, you're close enough and you're a good friend, you could, you know, gently and with diplomacy also discuss how you guys disagree with stuff without actually breaking a friendship. You know, there's stuff like that that can be said and they can be discussed in a conversation. But it seems like that wasn't the case with him, because he would send his chat to attack her and he would take it very personally. Wait, you guys think a streamer is not responsible over his or her viewers? I think to a certain degree. You can't really control people on Twitter, right? I could tell chat, hey chat, let's not call people name, or, you know, chat, follow the rules. Things like that. I can control my chat. I could control my Discord server. We have rules there that are enforced. If there is like a 24-month subscriber that goes on somebody else's stream and harasses somebody, if that content creator gives me their name and give us the screenshot, we're gonna have to ban him from the community. Like, there's rules, and rules are meant for that. Yeah, like I can curate and influence your community. You have some responsibility there over the stuff that you can control. Now, over whoever turbo random person that says that they're like part of my community but never watch my stream, they just saw my tweets from time to time on Twitter. No, I probably can't, you know, monitor that random. But I can at least control, like, my little community. Yeah, and that's why, like, I hate this argument that sometimes content creators do, that they're like, oh, little me, I'm just a gamer, dude. I don't really think before I speak. Okay, I've done this joke before, but, you know, but then they want sponsors. The reason why sponsors pay you money is because you can influence people into buying their product or checking out their product. So you do want to influence people. Like, you can't just have it all. You can't say that you're an influencer but that you don't influence anything. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, I'm just a little guy. Hassan uses that all the time. I was an active viewer of Tectone throughout him and Heck's relationship. She and him had a back and forth relationship. When he would go in on her, she'd clap back just as hard and have hour-long chat as well. Okay, they're both very intense then. I see. Very, seems like an emotional relationship. I spent a decent amount of time hanging out with him and other gacha content creators in the community. He created on Discord. He would occasionally make sexual comments that made me feel uncomfortable, like asking if I had been because I had joined a Discord called Out of Breath. Okay, that's kind of like whatever. Okay, you know what? I don't get to tell other people when they're uncomfortable. Yeah, okay. But more often, he would belittle me in calls with our friends. He would also regularly make a point to talk about how annoying I was or criticize some small misstep I made, like having mic issues in VC at length. Okay. Publicly, he did much of the same, but his audience continued his pattern by constantly reminding me of my various missteps and things Tectone didn't like about me. That actually just sounds like a toxic friendship. I don't know. Did they even like each other? Eventually, things came to a head in July of 2024, and we had a very nasty argument on stream. We're having a disagreement over Zenless Zone Zero. How can you disagree about a video game? His audience was clipping things I was saying, and he was getting increasingly agitated. He typed into my stream chat several times, causing his audience to continuously swarm me. Wait, wasn't Tectone the one that said that when you're in another content creator's chat, you shouldn't type anything, you shouldn't make your presence known? Oh, you can? Welcome to the gacha sphere? I am not in the loop over the gacha drama. I felt incredibly pressured to speak. I thought, however, that since we were friends, we could have an amicable discussion. That is not what happened. I don't want to go into a play-by-play on this argument, so you can watch it yourself if you really want. Here, the discussion starts around 2:42.
So no one's allowed to have any opinion.
No, you're allowed.
Right?
You're allowed. I didn't say you couldn't have an opinion.
Yeah, but no one's allowed to, like, you understand that when you're, like, quadruple the size of every other streamer in gacha, and you're also so incredibly obnoxious.
True.
It means that absolutely everyone is invalidated when you say that opinion.
Oh, okay. Well, that's just me, though. Just one person's word.
Yeah, but you know that it's not.
Oh, sure. But the thing is, I think people who judge a game off of 2 hours are dumb.
I didn't play 2 hours. I've played about 9 hours now.
But when people were making their original, I hate this game so much, it makes me so mad. Not only have they, once again, I don't think you have to play the whole game to know that it's bad, but to at least have information on what the game becomes. But as of current time of recording, not a single person on Earth has gotten to endgame. So we don't even know what the game is, whether it changes, the issues that we have if they get better later, and I just really...
Yeah, imagine if they're arguing over Opide. I would have made it a more interesting conversation. I won't pretend that I did my best in the discussion, but I was taken off guard by the way he was speaking to me. While he had been unkind innumerable times before then, it was usually with a tone that indicated it was supposed to be taken as a joke. I didn't know I was going into a debate with Tectone, something I had said even publicly that I didn't want to do.
We'll just say, hey guys, Tectone's right. You should believe in Tectone, and whatever you say, if you're disagreeing with Tectone, you're probably wrong. And even if you're not wrong, gonna be honest, you probably should not bother trying to argue with Tectone, because even on a personal level, arguing with Tectone is a waste of fucking time, because he will always win. Even if he's wrong, he'll win. Tectone is a great arguer. He is a very skillful arguer, and arguing with Tectone is a waste. A waste of time. So, he's either right or he's gonna convince himself and everybody else that he is. He's a fucking awful person to argue with.
Okay. For a TLDR of the discussion, I eventually accused him of using his influence to create narratives about people and situation. Brought out the Notepad app to use as a tool to manipulate the argument, and then started accusing that I was manipulating the situation to win the audience over because I was a woman. He was incredibly aggressive, manipulative, and mean-spirited throughout the convo. It kept me on long after it was clear I was on the verge of tears. I did not feel that I could leave. I knew that I would be called weak and the community would never let me live down, letting him win the debate. There was a fallout immediately after with another larger content creator inserting themselves into the situation. I had issues with that creator earlier in the year, and they put me on the position of choosing them, a person who had attacked me multiple times previously. Tectone, I was still incredibly hurt by the situation, or somehow neither, which would have meant I had to deal with harassment from essentially the entire gacha community and beyond. I chose Tectone. I still believed that we were friends, and I still wanted to believe in the goodness I had seen in him when we first met. Beyond that, I knew that once I turned on him, there was no coming back from it. I had seen the way other content creators that had earned his ire still received constant harassment over years after their conflict. I had watched him encourage continuous harassment of another content creator for months by bringing up their channel and praising the comment section filled with his audience bullying them. By this point, I had received an absolute inordinate amount of harassment for the size of my platform for 6 months non-stop. I did not ever fully recover from this argument. The harassment from the other creator's audience was vicious, and Tectone didn't really have my back. He made it abundantly clear that he thought the situation was my fault and was angry because he also received some amount of harassment because of how he spoke to me, because he publicly made it clear that he blamed me. I also received a large portion of harassment from his own audience. My choice to side with Tectone was made out of my own naive loyalty to a friend, and you would think that made me safe from his ire. It did not. Here's a clip of him making fun of me about it almost immediately after.
How are children supposed to understand such a complicated topic?
In my opinion, as far as reconstruction plans go, I think
Oh, that's the exact problem with what happened earlier with me and X.
Okay. He made a video talking about it indirectly where he belittled me and blamed me for the situation the next day.
So because a lot of content creators have really tried to decide that they understand what these fallacies mean, I decided to make a video reacting to every logical fallacy that's been explained. So that way chatters and viewers know what these means before content creators try to manipulate you into believing a term that doesn't apply to their current scenario. Case in point, straw man and cherry picking, and also gaslighting are some of the most misused fallacies. And I think it's very important for the community to understand these words. That way they don't fall for some fake ass bullshit, and make sure to understand the words before you believe that.
Oh, she was talking about Mtashed? That was the other, the large content creator that inserted himself in the situation that she said attacked her too?
The content creator is using them right. All right? We're gonna get educated, guys. We're gonna get educated. Ad hominem's also great. Oh, let's go.
Bro, I didn't even know Mtash was in gacha. Like, that guy, I used to watch his World of Warcraft videos like way back. He used to play Ice Mage. After this, Tectone started to semi-regularly berate me on stream in a way that is difficult to describe. I don't have clips of all of these because it was over a year ago, but I have to go through hundreds of hours of streams. He made it clear on stream and privately that I was not to disagree with him publicly anymore because it made him look bad. He told me I would never be allowed to engage in a debate with him again, and that he would never disagree with a woman publicly in the future either because people make it weird. Well, this clip isn't the worst of them. This is a good look at him being extremely manipulative because I disagreed with his take on Mr. Beast.
I ask you to do me a favor. Stop typing in chat when you're upset about this shit, okay? Because you're gonna cause issues again, all right? Second of all, there's a big difference in torturing people unconsensually versus people consenting for it. Saying, I will do this for this money. It is so different, it's insane. Because I'm telling you, we don't want to do this shit again, okay? I don't need you to farm my chat. Like, we already talked. We're not gonna fucking argue again, okay? But there is a huge fucking difference. There is a huge fucking difference between capturing people.
I don't know, I feel like this clip wasn't that bad. I mean, she does say that it wasn't the worst of it. For sure, it would be tiring if the entire relationship is like that. You know when you're like friends with somebody?
Did he notice
but you feel like they don't actually like you?
something was off? He just normally looks aloof. He probably...
Hex! Shut the fuck up!
Fast resting heart rate. What riled you up this time?
You're just imagining things.
Why?
I was really nervous, okay? But I'm always like this whenever I see a doctor.
That's how they would banter, I promise you. I feel like he's smiling there, but I mean, in his defense, I feel like he's smiling there and he's bantering. In her defense, this is something you feel though. You know when somebody is making jokes at your expense and you feel they're saying it's jokes, but you feel like it's true and they dislike you? Maybe that's how she felt. Yeah, it's too out of context, I guess, for me to make a decision on this. Here, it's him again belittling and blaming me for the argument and putting me in the worst possible light. Okay, there's timestamp for this one.
Like Hex just did, where I gotta explain people how to fucking communicate and talk, and then I sound like the condescending douchebag. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm gonna sound...
She says you have to chase him for a date like a girl. You must pursue him so he knows you value him.
A little bit aggressive and a little bit like a dickhead when I have to explain to people the basics of human speech. Hey man, I want to talk. Okay, let's talk soon. I have him on Twitter. I have him on Discord. How the fuck is that a ball in my court scenario? Just give him the benefit of the doubt. What did I even do? You were making some dumbass points about Z. Your ass got cooked, and then you pulled the emotional woman card that I had to deal with on stream, and then I get called the bad guy because you was being a bitch. I still gotta deal with that shit. Yep.
Why is this falling back to ZZZ? Why is this an argument about ZZZ? This is so stupid. You know, when I have to explain to my friends the stuff people fight about in my online life, I don't want to be telling them that it's over a video game. They already think we're crazy. Even in the video he made reviewing the post announcing my hiatus, he constantly belittled me and was incredibly unkind. Okay, I initially took a break from streaming to recover from the harassment that had ruined my mental health and deal with issues in my personal life, and I tried coming back to streaming in early 2025. Ultimately, I realized that I just didn't see a future where I was happy as a CC. Tectone was ever present, and I felt pressure to fawn and continue an amicable friendship with him, and wanted to make more political content, but was becoming increasingly aware that my leftist/intersectional feminist beliefs would put me at odds with him. While I was a small creator, I'm not really a threat to him. I was more than aware that to disagree with him would be to suffer his wrath. I had, after all, seen him take down others for less. I officially announced my indefinite hiatus around April 2025. Wow, so in her, like for her friendship with Tectone had a big play into her hiatus. I'm not proud of my behavior throughout my content creation career. I never imagined I would end up a gacha slop creator, or react channel, or someone who was too afraid to speak my political opinions. I look back on this time of my life with absolute disgust. I still can't believe the ways that I compromised my beliefs and compromised the quality of my character. But I was afraid. I was afraid of the harassment I received constantly. I was afraid of other content creators that disliked or harassed me. I was afraid of Tectone. I wanted to be a content creator so badly, and I felt like the only way to do that was by keeping Tectone happy. For a long while, I would respond if he messaged me or answer if he called. I watched him become more political and extreme and justified it by saying that he was going through a hard time and that it wasn't really an indication of his character. After I officially went on extended hiatus in April 2025, I had been inconsistent/on break since November 2024. His interest in me plummeted, and I heard from him extremely infrequently. I still tried to placate him throughout this time, but I hadn't 100% decided on quitting content altogether, and I was afraid that if I didn't respond or said anything negative to him directly, he would begin a hate campaign against me. I'd watch him do similar campaigns against content creators who reached out privately regarding his political stances. I also still went back and forth on whether he had changed or had been manipulating me since the beginning, which was an incredibly confusing process. After his full alt-right pivot, I couldn't pretend that the person who had helped me in the beginning was still there. I also decided that the content landscape in general was not a place that I could thrive. I blocked him and removed myself from basically all creator space in September 2025. Part of the reason I had taken so long is that I struggled over the last year offline to put the pieces together. While my time as a content creator was extremely flawed, I've come to realize that much of the vile harassment I received was due to the environment Tectone created around himself. For a short time, I did a non-gacha content in 2024. I received virtually no harassment even when I had critical views over an issue. Commenters and viewers would disagree with me, but that's not the same as the harassment I received daily in gacha. I mean, this kind of content, it's a constant battlefield. Basically, you're going at war every day. The environment, it was all drama farming, I'm pretty sure. It was all people fighting each other. At least that's what I heard from the gacha space. The environment also got significantly worse over time. Tectone became very specific about raising his community like an army to defend him, making it clear he wanted them to autonomously go out and seek his enemies. I wish I could find a clip of this, but then again, it was a 1-2 year ago and hundreds of hours of streams. The gacha audience outside of his fanbase also responded to how inflammatory he encouraged everyone to be, making the space extremely volatile, even if they weren't directly fans of Tectone. He also developed a group of other smaller content creators who seemingly will defend his every action to this day. He enforces strict compliance with those who are around him. It's cultish and every bit as weird as it seems. Sounds a bit like Hassan though. Looking back, being in his circle generally felt like being in a high demand religion. I am a little bit wary of like super those fan bases of content creators that are like extremely loyal to the point where they'll go and brigade post and all of that though. I feel like that does speak a little bit about the influencer, because like balanced audiences, they don't go out of their way to argue with people online. They're like I disagree with this or I don't, and they move on with their day, they go play games or they hang out with other people. Looking back, being in a circle generally felt like being in a high demand religion. It probably sounds insane, but the strict adherence to the Tectone doctrine, use of thought terminating cliques, and us versus them mentality among his close friends would be very familiar if you've ever researched cults. It has felt like I have had to deconstruct brainwashing for the last year to gain a better perspective. I've talked enough about my experience with Tectone, now I want to address Pink. The reality was that I knew both of them. I met Pink shortly after Tectone. Okay, finally we're gonna get to something that's part of what we're talking about. I met Pink shortly after Tectone through him, and we spoke a handful times privately. We were acquaintances, and she talked a lot about her troubles with Freem and her relationship with Tectone to me, always in a positive terms before their breakup. While she did warn me about a few things regarding her relationship with Tectone after they broke up around September 2024, she did not tell me about DSA. She explained that the entire situation regarding the harassment from Freem was fabricated by Tectone, which I was shocked by, along with some other embarrassing information about Tectone that is not my place to confirm. This information really tore me apart for a long time, but naively I wanted to believe that they were misunderstandings or not the full picture. I eventually decided to ask Tectone, who I still wanted to believe was my friend, what was going on. He seemed to put a lot more of my concerns at ease, confirming and explaining away some things while denying others. I am being vague here mostly because not all of this is 100% public and it's not information for me to share. I came to believe, as I always had, that he was flawed and an asshole, but that the relationship overall was toxic, not abusive. When I had that call with Tectone, he convinced me to go to TwitchCon to meet him, which was genuinely bizarre experience. In hindsight, it seemed like Tectone was intentionally trying to be at events he thought Pink would attend. He invited me to a party full of VR chat streamers, making it clear that after I got there that everyone at the party hated him. It was really confusing as to why this was where he wanted to meet me for the first time. Looking back, I think he was hoping Pink would be there. He also pressured me during that call to call Pink and tell her that I didn't want any part of the situation. I regret this more than anything, and it's something I will be apologizing to Pink for privately, among other things. It was difficult to understand what was actually happening in the relationship, as it felt like throughout I knew too much and nothing at the same time. I was given a lot of information and was one of the few people they actually confirmed their relationship to before their breakup. At the time, I had only known Tectone for a few months, and I was honored to be told a secret that wasn't public knowledge. I also was just an internet friend that never hung out with them in person. I understand now that the information I received about the relationship was confusing and contradictory because it was an abusive relationship. By the time Pink came out with the essay allegation around 2 months after her initial warning to me, I had already been convinced that she was stalking him, obsessed with him, and trying to ruin his life. I can only say that I regret not taking her warning seriously, that I hate the way I swallowed Tectone's manipulation afterward. I'm disgusted by his behavior, given the havoc he wreaked in my life in less than a year over the internet. Was happened to Pink over several years in his home is entirely unimaginable. I believe everything Pink asserted in her court case. While I cannot speak to the horror of DSA, I can speak to the coercive control used against me and that I've seen him wield against virtually everyone close to him. Seeing him in a more honest light now, I wholeheartedly believe that he is more than capable of essaying, manipulating, and stalking Pink. I believe he did because I've seen the kind of person he is, and anyone who knows him now could search their heart and find the same answer. And do not have the words to describe my regret. I cannot believe that I considered him a friend of mine for so long, and I can only work to be a better woman's advocate in the future. This is very long, and I doubt that its impact will be very much. I don't have anything to gain from posting this at this point, but as a defunct VTuber, I felt I finally needed to do the right thing as Hex choose and tell the truth. I lied to myself and others around me, trying to justify Tectone's behavior and protect myself from him. There's so much more I can say, but all I really should say is that I'm sorry. I should have been better as a content creator, more true to myself. It has taken until recently to finally start to find myself again outside of streaming. If you've gotten this far, thank you. I hope it helps you understand me better. If I can trouble you by giving you a piece of advice, don't take so much emotionally on content creators in the future. In my experience, large content creators are disappointing when you meet them. Trust yourself and your opinions most of all, and keep skepticism for those who seek to feed an opinion to you. Content creation brings the worst out of people, especially especially streaming. Be careful about the creators you watch, they'll probably let you down. To Tectone directly, I know you're reading this because you read everything about yourself constantly. I'm sure that one of your mods sent this to almost immediately. I genuinely cared for you as a friend from the bottom of my heart. It was never about money or clout or views for me. I just wanted to make cool content and talk to people on stream. I did not care that you were the Tectone, and I didn't want anything from you but your friendship. I still do not know how much of the goodness I saw in you was real or my own imagination. I still do not know if you showed me kindness out of a genuine desire for friendship or as a manipulation to make me feel like I owed you. Later on, you knew how much I valued your friendship and used it against me over and over. I have defended you, tried to see the best in you, and struggled with what a vile person you have become. I took the brunt of the harassment after our argument and laundered your public image with gacha countless times because I believed in you. I sometimes still don't know if you changed over time or if you were always just such a foul human being and I hadn't fully come out yet. Learning about what you were doing to Pink while I knew you showed me it was the latter. I accepted so much of your mistreatment because I knew you were incredibly troubled by your past and that you struggled with your schizophrenia, and I felt so sure that underneath all of it there was a soul that just wanted to be accepted. The only reason I've ever wanted for you was to stop streaming and go to therapy. That doesn't change now. You inflict yourself on everyone around you because you are clearly miserable. Streaming will never be your way out of that. You will continue to spread your misery to people close to you until your last days. Unless you accept that you are the actual core of all your problems, I don't think you are capable of changing these things about yourself at this point. I'm not that naive, I just hope that maybe if you stay away from streaming and find a counselor, you can make a few less people fucking miserable. I know you won't do that, and I know that you are far more likely to hate and shit talk all of your enemies until you're old and unhappy and alone on stream. But I never want to hear that I was genuinely your friend out of your mouth. I bent myself backward trying to believe that you weren't the malicious, vicious asshole that you clearly are, and I might have been stupid for it, but I really did care about you. To Tectone's friends, still defending him. Some of you were my friends and were very accepting and kind to me. I want to acknowledge that and appreciate it before I make it clear how disgusted I am by the choice to continue to defend this man. Many of you are talented content creators, and make no mistake that your choice to ally yourself with Tectone will stay in your career forever no matter what you do. More importantly, it has stained the quality of your character. I hope that all of you eventually begin to see the world as it is outside of that toxic little Tectone bubble. I've watched this man treat all of you badly, using you like pawn in games that only serve him. The man doesn't respect you often, doesn't pretend to even like you, and yet you will support him through this? It's absurd, it's pathetic, and it will come to haunt you. I'm sorry that it came down to this. Many of you understood my intentions and beliefs and were incredibly kind and supportive of my endeavors. As a silly bad girl VTuber, not all CCs was bad, and long streams with you all were the best part. I will cherish your acceptance and support for the rest of my life. To my friends, thank you. You were my anchor in a treacherous sea, and I think I would have gone completely insane without you. If I had to do it all over again, I would. If only to meet all of you, my found family again. Alright, well, I wanted to read the dog. At least we got to read it. Did she also make a video about it? Oh, she dropped the dog and left again? Okay. I'm taking the dog as just a final goodbye internet post. It kind of was that. It kind of was that. The only real thing in the dog was the thing about the frame situation being fabricated. I'm sure we could look more into it, but I don't have that much interest. The evidence was a bit flimsy. However, I mean, she can feel if it was over the course of several years. It's not the first time I've heard somebody like this between content creators. I know the streaming scene is like that, you know? I know the streaming scene is like that, and most content creators, like, they aren't really friend. They're a friend for the cameras. They might truly be genuine feelings at the time or emotions, like positive emotions between them. But I guarantee you that once one of them stops creating content, that relationship will drop. Let's react to the legal mindset fast facts. Legal mindset under fire right now. We'll look at some tweets later.
Top of documents regarding Tectone and his ongoing legal saga with his former ex. We're going to get that today on the Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew, American attorney living over here in Asia. And this is a fast facts, the quick and dirty version of the latest in legal news. So let's jump right into the Tectone files. And once again, this is regarding streamer Tectone, who is today our defendant in this case, the Eggman. Now, to be a real quick disclosure, of course, I do know Tectone. He's a individual I'm familiar with. So you could say I have a bias towards Tectone. But that being said, I'm going to try to do this as neutrally as possible and present both sides of the argument. Because remember, there are always two sides of the argument. And particularly in this post-debt Me Too era, we have to consider all.
I think, okay, this is something that I wanted to add, but that he reminded me of. I do think that a lot of people that refuse to believe the court ruling and that are hard defending him are somewhat burned from the Me Too era, and they kind of want to turn this into a sort of argument that is like men treated unfairly by the court system because women, and there is a major overreaction and overcorrection on that front. It could be that there are some cases that where a man is wrongfully accused. It could be that there are some cases where, you know, the judge was actually biased. But do we know for sure that this is one of them? Do we know? Is there more evidence than not to showcase that this is one of them? That's my question. And I feel like a lot of people, especially those that are deep in the culture war trenches, have made their decision on this court ruling and this entire situation before even getting into it. Yes, and true. The whole point of Me Too was that they had to do that because the whole legal process failed. So they used social media to speak out. That's true.
Of the factors before we just go out and cancel someone for these allegations. And then we've got the plaintiff Pikachu, who is a streamer here, and we're going to be getting into their relationship. The important thing to notice being the defendant, Tectone and Pikachu, is they dated, right? So these are exes. They had a relationship that is now over. And then we have filings and accusations coming from this, mainly from a drop by Miskiff, who is clearly trying to put information out there that leads people away from his own case at this point. That seems to be his general legal strategy.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. That actually doesn't matter. Yes, he's shedding a light on this, but this was already happening without Miskiff.
So let's get into this. This is Pikachu versus Tectone over abuse allegations, both emotional and sexual in nature. There were filings both in a civil context and a criminal context. Now, the civil context that was taken all the way to a conclusion, but the criminal context, remind you, was a police report which was dropped. So that is very, very critical here, that there are no criminal conclusions regarding Tectone, and that's something that needs.
I already gotta disagree here. I don't think the criminal case. First of all, I didn't find that information. I didn't see a criminal case was dropped. I know there was a police report made, but even if there was, it being dropped is not such a big like gotcha moment saying like, oh my god. I've told you guys already, it's incredibly difficult to prove SA in the criminal court. It's not like, oh my god, she dropped the criminal case, throw everything out of the window, this ruling's dog shit. And I'm gonna show you more stuff.
Needs to be very, very much reinforced throughout all of this. Now, Tectone did deny.
Yeah, I don't even know if the case was even started.
The allegations of Pikachu, including her of defamation and in filing counter evidence. But Tectone ultimately lost his civil suit and was ruled liable for SA, even despite the fact that the criminal case was dropped by police. And this had consequences for Tectone because Mythic, the talent agency, which is also my talent agency, dropped him over this. Now, to be very clear about this, once again, with Mythic.
It's also my talent agency. And LM is also one of my friends, by the way. But I can still disagree with my friends on some things, right?
I've made it very clear with them that I will be covering issues regardless of how things look. And with Mythic, they have a right, and I can say this based on my own contract, to drop you based on brand appearance, etc. And many advertisers are gun shy. So even if the allegations are just allegations, they can drop you. Think about Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp was dropped by Disney, dropped by other advertisers, simply because of allegations that were not yet proven in court. So this is something that Mythic dropping him doesn't make him per se guilty of anything at this point. Another person, by the way, that's involved in this, and we're going to get into this, is Freem, who is a former marriage partner of Tectone. So while she's not necessarily a plaintiff, Freem's information is very much relevant to this analysis. So let's get into the kind of some background here before we.
Okay, I can see where this is going, and I already don't like this. I don't like this. I don't get what this is. It's called fast facts. where are the facts so far? I haven't seen a fact yet. This is just we're setting the groundwork to make an argument that this is another, you know, Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp trial. I would have wanted to see more actual facts, like based on the documents. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see a fair shake, like a real fair shake here. But let's see the
Get
rest.
into a word, but actually, before we do that, let's get into a word from today's video sponsor. And now a word from today's sponsor, Delete Me. Okay, guys, let's be real. New Year's resolutions really do not last long. Usually not outside.
Oh,
January.
Delete Me sponsor?
Gym memberships, diets, budgets.
Actually, that's a great sponsor. I wish I got that sponsor.
All those things that are all nebulous, that don't have any set goals, that don't have any concrete things. Those usually get blown before Valentine's Day. But Delete Me, to sponsor this video, is a quick New Year's resolution that you can complete in just 5 minutes. The resolutions that I tend to keep are ones that are fast, they're easy to finish in one sitting, and they're net positive for my life. They do something good that I can get done very, very, very quickly. And that's exactly what's offered with Delete Me, which is my first sponsor ever on this channel. It removes your personal details like contact information and your home address.
Wait, like you said the same thing about what? About the sponsor?
From hundreds of data broker sites that can be set up quickly in less time than a pizza delivery. And all of this, all the protection that you get from Delete Me runs completely in the background and does the work for you, protecting your privacy all year long. This is key for reducing your digital footprint, which can protect you from all of the scams out there on the internet. And there are tons of scams on the internet. As a naturally lazy person, and I am so lazy, this is something that even I, Mr. Captain Lazy, could get done really quickly. And it's the laziest smart thing you could do all year. Right now, get 20% discount with the link in the description and the pinned comments below. That's post Depp versus Amber Heard. And this is actually, despite what people say, it wasn't Disney, it wasn't Doki, it wasn't anything else that really blew me up. It was Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp and covering this case. And in this case, BlawTube really blew up because we covered this neutrally, whereas the whole world in that Me Too era was pro Amber Heard, was pro saying all women believe what she says. And it turns out that Johnny Depp was indeed wronged here and he was vindicated in court. And so when I analyze the Tectone case, I look at this as we are in a post-Depp world. We need to live in a world where we don't believe my dog stepped on a bee and we don't believe any tall tale that came out of what Amber Heard's mouth or anybody else says, because we've seen cases out there in the US that I've covered on this channel, like Trevor Bauer, like the Khan case at Princeton, where we have people that are absolutely destroyed. Their careers are just absolutely wrecked based on pure allegation. So let's get into what happened. So all the evidence I'm treating at a higher degree if it's been filed with the court, not just online, but a lot of this stuff that's been filed, that's online, was indeed filed with the court. And every individual
It's a lot of disclaimers. Okay, all of it. This part we spoke about that is correct. He explains a bit better than me.
Case has to be evaluated for its impact. So what does a civil case mean? Well, what that means is there's a standard of proof that's lower. It's preponderance of the evidence, 51%, you could say, instead of reasonable beyond a reasonable doubt, which is 99.9% of the time, and such, or in the upper percentages of happening. But Tectone hasn't been convicted of anything criminal. So for all those out there, and I'm looking at you, all the pikers of the world and everybody else who's throwing the names out there, calling him the R word, and I can't say that because of YouTube, is not actually okay. He hasn't been convicted. That is still defamatory to label him as a criminal when he is indeed not been convicted criminally. So one thing, looking at the background here, once again, part one, just looking at the background, Travis County in Texas has a huge pro-female bias in terms of outcomes. Women who file tend to get very, very, very favorable outcomes in Texas, in Travis County. And there's a potential activist judge who had a DV bias, who had a history of that did not recuse himself in this case. Super relevant. Also,
that's jury pool potentially biased towards plaintiff is a crazy sentence. Same with potential activist judge with DV bias. And Travis County has pro-female bias outcomes. I did some research into that. I found evidence of the complete opposite. And I'd really like to see where people are taking their stats from, because that is not at all what I found. So Travis County actually has been sued repeatedly, is in Austin County, repeatedly by victims of SA over mishandling of their lawsuits. You can find all of that information online from 2018 to 2020. There's been numerous lawsuits that this county has been involved in. Now I was like, okay, let me look at, the other claims. And there's also this other article here. Lawsuit accuses Travis County of gender bias in handling of sexual assaults. I'm like, oh, okay, is it gender bias towards female? No, it's the opposite, actually. It's the perpetrator of sexual assaults are never held accountable. They're citing against the women. The integrity of the criminal justice system is of an utmost importance to the city and our law enforcement partners. Okay, I'm like, okay, maybe I just, didn't find the right source. I'm going to keep on digging. And I went into this insane rabbit hole. So apparently, this case was settled, and then the leader of the city of Austin had to apologize to the victims. That apology came 2 years ago. He had to do a whole ass apology. If you want to read more into it, it's very interesting. And I look at a comment and I read, they aren't sorry though. They rehired Art, who helped destroy grape kits and didn't investigate grape cases. I'm like, what do you mean they destroyed grape kits and didn't investigate grape cases? Yeah, they had to make, so the leader of the city had to make a public apology to all of the SA victims where they fucked up their SA lawsuits. So I start digging deeper into those grape kit being destroyed allegations. I'm telling you, the rabbit hole I went into was insane, chat. So I found, and my team found, that the city potentially botched thousands of cases. Not just 4, not just 10. We're talking thousands. Austin leaders apologized to victims for mishandling SA cases. City of Austin leaders issued a formal apology Tuesday afternoon to SA victims for the mishandling of SA assault case by the Austin Police Department, according to the city. The city has made then a concrete effort to improve APD's handling of SA's cases following years of issue. I was like, all right, let's look at the next thing on. I have more on this. But real quick, I was like, was there actually a judge that is, that has a victim bias and all of that? I found a single judge case, just one, a single one. So please, if anybody can find more for the arguments of the other side, I'd like to see them. Like, send them to me. I'm open to seeing everything. Judge in domestic violence case recused after attorney alleges victim bias. And what does that mean? It means that the judge stepped down from a case after the attorney alleged victim bias. So they got what they wanted. The judge stepped down, and at the end there was no verdict passed with that judge. She removed herself from the case. Same judge, also in Travis County, domestic violence judges face allegations of bias, removed from the case. It was taken out of the case. The case didn't end with the judge, supervising it. So I'm like, all right, let's look more. They must be getting those claims from somewhere. So then I found some statistics. The only statistic I found was there's a high amount of women judge. So I was like, okay, is there more? No, I think the entire claim rests on the fact that woman judge equals she's going to be biased towards women. But I think that argument is entirely speculative. There's a lot of women that shit on other women. We see it all the time. Not because somebody's a woman that she's not going to be professional and not going to, sit over a court hearing and do her job properly. Judges have to study for a long time to become a judge. So, making that argument by itself is biased. Then I started looking more. I found actually evidence of the opposite. Actual stats, actual facts. In 2011, out of 211 grape reported to the APD made no arrests. In 2012, out of 209 grapes reported to the APD made 1 arrest. In 2013, out of 217 grapes reported to the APD made no arrests. Does that look like biased towards victim to you guys so far, based on numbers? In 2014, out of 571 grapes reported to the they only made 4 arrests. In 2015, out of 487 grapes reported to the APD only made 2 arrests. In 2016, out of 747 grapes reported to the APD, they only made 3 arrests. In 2017, out of 834 grapes reported to the APD only made 9 arrests. In 2018, out of 787 grapes reported to the APD made 89 arrests. It went up at least. But it actually shows the opposite. Sounds like if you're reading up on criminal cases while Em is talking about restraining orders are much more common, easier to get. I've spoken about this at the beginning of the stream. Restraining order, usually you get a temporary one, and yeah, they're easier to get. What he got was not a regular restraining order. It was a permanent protective order, up to 10 years, with the firearm, like, he doesn't have the right to bear firearms. That is not common. That is not just a normal restraining order. There's more. And by the way, there's the list goes longer. That's only one thing. Like, they're even talking about. So I started reading up onto it, and they're talking about reporting to the police and not following up. Wait, I'm not explaining this properly. Sorry. I'm just going to read this. Okay, so in 2020, the APD assigned only 19 detectives to handle about 1,000 violence cases per year. They only had 17 crimes detective in 2018, investigating 787 grapes. By comparison, the APD had 12 detectives assigned to investigate 32 murders in 2018. So 12 for 32 murders, but 17 for 787 grapes. This is the most incompetent department, like, that's evaluating these essays, cases, and these grapes I've ever seen. And then I'm looking into what police department, this is it. The Texas Department of Public Safety determined that the Austin Police Department had wrongfully exceptionally cleared nearly 1/3 of its exceptionally cleared grape cases during the audited period. The Austin Police Department. Which department Pingshu was in contact with? The Austin Police Department. The same department. So if you... Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. But that's crazy, chat. That is crazy. Look at the next part of this. The Texas Department of Public Safety audit further confirmed that nearly half of those wrongfully exceptionally clear cases had enough information to support an arrest, charge, and turning over to the court for prosecution. Chief Mangley agreed with nearly of all DPS findings. Admittingly, the majority of cases identified by the DPS were closed improperly and should not have even been closed at all. There's this Jane Doe from Travis County, which is the county at play in Tectone's case, that says that she lists a bunch of evidence of wrongdoing. They were basically destroying grape kits. They mishandled a bunch of DNAs in grape kits, causing thousands of them to either be lost, be destroyed, or turn out completely wrong. Some detectives on those cases, some investigators, some of them would just write up. They would not even show up to the victim's place, to the scene of the crimes, or to even interview them. They would just write, not enough evidence, case closed, nothing to see here. Meanwhile, the blood results hadn't even come back from the lab yet. You're telling me, all these people are like, oh, she should have filed a criminal case. She should have put that in the police department, go see a police. Even if she did, it probably fell into the black hole of that police department. Like, is there even anything that comes out of it? Like, this is not, I don't think there's a pro-victim bias in that county at all. I think it's the complete opposite. This is like grape capital. That it's just so wild. And this is the streaming capital, by the way. I wonder why. Yeah, the Austin Police Department is literally like the grape black hole. This is where the police reports go to disappear. So after these lawsuits that the county of Austin has been into, they've been trying to provide, there's been a push for transparency, not bias, for transparency. And this is very recent. It happened in 2025, so Freems and Pink case might have been part of this even. But it's very
Push
interesting.
for change in how sexual assault cases are handled in Austin.
After the city settled a lawsuit with survivors whose cases were mishandled, Austin launched the Collective Sex Crime Response Model Project. Now, the Public Safety Commission is looking at recommendations on how to fix.
I think he was more applying to all civil. I get it, but where's the source? Where's the stats? Where is the articles on that? Not just, I can't base myself off just speculations and hearsays. This is what I found. Actual stats, lawsuits, audits. This right here, this happened in 2025. This is recent.
Fix the system. KVU's Kelsey Sanchez explains.
She did make a report, but it was a little late. It was 1 year late.
Hannah Sanko is looking toward the future.
There's been quite a history here in Austin around how sexual assault cases are handled. I will say that that's quite frankly a national issue. And so where we are today is really a positive step in the right direction.
That direction is aimed at data transparency and getting a better assessment of all sex crimes in Austin and how they're being tackled.
From a transparency and accountability perspective, I know ensuring that APD was sharing their data was an important element for several of the plaintiffs in the lawsuit.
The city of Austin settled a 2022 lawsuit including Sanko and other survivors of sexual assault who said that
No, it's not the same judge. So this police there, this is the police department where she made her report. It's the exact same one.
department mishandled their cases. The settlement created the Collective Sex Crime Response Model Project. The goal is to implement more than 100 changes to the Austin Police Department Sex Crime Unit. Sanko is the project manager.
We are continuing to report out on the progress of that project on a quarterly basis.
Allison Roper, a consultant with APD, says data can be interpreted in different ways.
Roper referred to title codes, which are assigned to each case and reference a particular sex crime. However, they found that certain crimes being investigated were not being labeled under rape, sexual assault with an object, or sodomy.
We're trying to clean up how we present our data so we can provide a clear picture of what's happening in the community.
Another issue, underreporting and how immigration status could impact that. APD Commander Deanna Lichter says it won't.
We need to do a better job of our outreach and making people understand that when you become a victim of crime, we don't care about immigration status, we care about the crime.
Lichter noted even if people choose not to report to police, there are resources and services that can also help.
What I would like to see is eventually that those people who seek services eventually choose to report to us, and that we are able to get them some measure of justice.
A push for justice that is far from over. In Austin, Kelsey Sanchez, KVU News.
Kelsey, thanks a lot. Austin's Public Safety Commission also sent a recommendation to City Council saying that APD, the Safe Alliance, and the Travis County District Attorney's Office should submit sexual assault case data to the Commission on a quarterly basis.
So yeah, they even dropped the case of a victim who had like a turbo huge
I think I
black
screened
eye.
out probably.
There's so much information on that, and yet I haven't found any information on the other side yet. So, you know, if anybody has articles and stuff like that, I'd like to see them. I'm open to seeing them. This is also the same county where the case of Rich Campbell was pursued, and I think that case was dropped, right? Was it dropped? Yeah, it's so funny that that Austin is the streamer capital, and they have all of this going on, and they're always under fire for all kind of shit.
A lot of people want to go online.
Yeah. And make shit up about men, right?
And tell women or men
Thank you, our man.
that their stories are invalid.
What? Oh my god! What? Wow! It's almost like Tectone is a totally disgraceful, principleless fucking hack. Would you believe it? So here he is, 2 years ago, before he contended with his own allegation, before he had his right-wing fucking pivot, right? Validating and backing up the allegation against Rich Campbell. Only now he's on his new fucking arc to call her a lying OnlyFans whore. And don't think that the dropping of the lawsuit is a substantive detail that changes things here. It's not. It's not. The original allegation.
I like that he's pointing at the camera. I don't know who that dude is, but he's finding all these clips. So why he's showing this? Because this is the initial reaction that Tectone had when the Rich Campbell thing happened. He had this very big emotional reaction. Now, when Rich Campbell came back recently, well, recently, it was October of last year. This is what he tweeted. Another OnlyFans woman lying about grape and then just moves on. No damage done to them. Ruin a man's life for 3 years. Why is this so common? There's like a big pivot in his opinion on this. He's pointing at me. Yeah. I decided to dismiss my lawsuit against Rich Campbell. No payment was offered by either of us to the other. I want to thank everyone for their support over this difficult period, and I wish him well in his future endeavors.
A jury pool that's biased towards the plaintiff with a skewed heavy female bias. Everybody in the courtroom.
But there was no jury, by the way, finally.
From being female, that can tend to bias things when it comes to these outcomes. The other thing, which is different from the Miss Kiff situation, is we haven't seen abusive communications. In fact, all the communications I reviewed show Tectone as a reasonable, kind guy. He approached Pikachu as a friend, not even as a person trying to slide into the DMs, which, number one, is not a crime, but number two, that wasn't how he approached it. He approached this very innocently after he was betrayed in a relationship, which Reem cheated on him with somebody who was working at the same company, so a work partner, right? So after he was cheated on, he ends up engaging in this relationship, which once again, not smart to rebound, not smart to work with somebody, or sorry, engage with somebody who's perhaps a streamer right afterwards, dating streamers.
But aren't jury decided by both sides? Usually, yeah, you can check the jury pool and you can request to change some, but in this case, I've been told that there was no jury.
He's not good, right? Two streamers dating, always not good. But we haven't seen those abusive communications. In fact, when I review the communications, they look much more supportive. And by the way, I'm very, very, very cognizant as someone who struggles with depression myself. This is something I'm very, very sympathetic to for both parts, right? Because Tectone has his own mental health stuff and Pikachu has her own mental stuff.
Yeah.
But when I read this,
he's been open about his schizophrenia. She has this, I guess, premenstrual dysphoric disorder. But was this in the lawsuit or is it just a tweet we pulled up?
Communications between the two, it doesn't seem like this is abusive. So Pikachu says right here, I have something called PMD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, that I'm being treated for. So I'm in a lot of physical pain and my emotions are really bad. Like just feeling so depressed I don't even want to. So on stream today was really, really rough. I'm trying to be tough through it all, but it's not easy when it feels like the end of the world. So please be patient with me. The doctor said it could be 6 months for treatment to fully work. But in the meantime, it's awful manage the mood swings and pain. And I understand this. I understand this completely. And so I'm sympathetic to this. And I understand that there may be some other things going in there with BPD or bipolar disorder, something I'm very familiar with. And I get that. I completely get that. She says, thank you to everyone for being so kind to me while I deal with this. I'm sorry for crying on stream. Well, I did that today. Sometimes it's harder holding it in, but I'm hoping by summer it's going to go a lot better to hang in there. It's tough. I get it. It's tough. And what does Tectone say? He says, I will never understand how much this must hurt you, but proud you're fighting through it. And this is not the language I would see of an abusive partner, or someone who's hurting, or someone who's out there to get somebody, but someone who really.
So is this in the lawsuit of Pikachu versus Tectone for the protective order, or is it for the lawsuit that he had with Freem, between Pikachu and Freem? Sorry, because there was another lawsuit.
He genuinely wants to help and genuinely cares. So Pikachu's filings regarding Freem are contradictory.
No, I've been told he didn't cry about the Tectone allegations. I've been told he cried because because he's been going through some rough times, and going back to streaming he's been finding it difficult.
She had filings regarding Freem.
I mean, they dated. I assume he would throw some. Yeah, I know. I felt like, he cried because he had a lot of support from fans. Yeah, so it wasn't. I don't want to. I'm criticizing the arguments. I don't want to criticize him for stuff that he didn't do. Gotta put the dots on the I's. Yeah, Andrew cried because he was having his own issues and fans supported him. Yeah, I believe that.
To get her information taken down because Freem called her a house wrecker, called her all sorts of things, filmed her again without her consent, engaging in sexual activities with Tectone. Once again, several civil and potentially criminal violations regarding Pikachu and Tectone that were committed.
Yeah, Pikachu's filings regarding Freem are contradictory. Yeah, he's referencing the other lawsuit. I think he's referencing the other lawsuit between Pikachu's and Freem here.
By frame, and Pikachu filed to stop those, which is to me contradictory. And it seems like this may be a case of what you call buyer's remorse in dating, where you go back and you say, okay, well, now that I'm out of this, this is a situation where it was buyer's remorse. I regret things I did, or I regret stuff I did, even though it was consensual at the time. And unfortunately, as I got to report to you guys, the U.S. legal system weaponizes this. It allows people to go back, regret things, and then go get protective orders, go make claims in the future, when all of this should be dealt with privately. So my judgment at this moment, having reviewed the documents that are out there, is to withhold judgment for the moment pending release of further documentation evidence. We may have stuff that eventually gets unsealed, or more communications that come out, more than just what Miss Kiff is trying to put out to paint some sort of narrative. In a post-debt world, we all need...
I don't know if there's going to be more stuff unsealed besides the Tectone that Statement's gonna make, which he won't be able to say much. Besides that, most of the stuff that was sealed was her medical documents. There wasn't much really that hasn't been revealed yet. Yeah, the Pikachu and Frame thing is a separate case than the one we're reviewing right now.
To account for all the evidence taken as a whole before concluding somebody is ripe for cancellation, right? Miss Kiff releasing these documents clearly does just to take pressure off his...
Knowing Tectone will say more than he should, well, I don't think his lawyer is going to be happy about that.
Case, which contains evidence of abusive communications. Now, I'm not saying Miss Kiff is guilty yet. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt too. He's going to have his day in court. But if all he's got is throwing a plushie, that's not going to do enough to get away from all the accusations. And first and foremost, I also think the intimate partner relations are very...
Okay, the Miss Kiff thing is also like a completely different case, by the way. So if you guys are confused,
personal and private, things can get heated between partners. And you know what? Maybe we shouldn't be dragging this out to the court of public opinion and trying to sue people to make these things right. Maybe we should handle these things privately as adults between two people. Right now, judgment is withheld, but we'll get back. What do you guys think in the comments below? What do you think about Tectone, the Eggman, and what's going on with him? I'll catch you on the next.
So yeah, I don't think Miss Kiff talking about Tectone helps throw off his own case. No, his case still gonna be the same. It's just he's just trying to take everybody down with him. I mean, we should handle things privately. That only works to a certain degree. Obviously, if there's some wrongdoings, that's not just drama. And when you're past the point of diplomacy, you need to get law enforcement involved. That can totally happen. And yes, if Tectone violates his protective order during the stream, says something that can cause harm, distress, embarrassment to the person who issued the protective order, it would be a criminal offense. Pikachu calls out legal mindset for his handling of her Tectone's court docs. That's the live stream, probably. That's not the fast fact documents that we just watched, because there was obviously nothing, shown there really, except his own slides. Says he failed to redact leaked docs while live, which caused her to get doxxed. Calls out the recklessness while reviewing the docs and disregard for safety. Investigation into matter is pending. Let's take a look at that. This is the lawyer LM posted an unredacted leaked document that were meant to be sealed live to the thousands of people to dox me, putting my family in danger. I wasn't able to verify this. Was there actually addresses or phone numbers and names unredacted? Yes, wait. Actually, the docs are not fully open to the public. There was a glitch, but even with that, I dislike this argument. Even if they were open to the public, it's not unusual for VTubers to redact the document to hide sensitive information. I mean, LM usually does that. I know he does that. They were redacted, no address, no phone numbers, no medical. Okay, thank you, Tank. See, I wanted to know that. Okay, people say different things. And the documents were not supposed to be available online. Actually, it's way bigger of a mess. The court made a huge blunder. I reached out to Travis County for clarification on the court documents that leaked in the Tectone protection order. It appears that it was in fact due to a bug that they were accessible at all and should have not been viewable to public online. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. We are looking into it. Protective order case at the county clerk level should not be viewable to the public online. So I think this lines up. And this person also says, so I haven't seen this. I acknowledge my own fault in my inception that the case was public because of their search database returning results. I've gone ahead and edited my post not to state as such where I can. And I do thank you for reaching out to them, because if this really was them being dumb and leaving holes in viewing private cases, then I don't want to be on that side of the fence. I retract my statement of this being public. I apologize to everyone involved. So apparently, like, civil cases usually are public, but from my understanding, sometimes protective order cases are still sealed because there's, you know, obviously security information in there that could be dangerous. They made a huge blunder if that is true. Like a bug in the website on a public person case. Yikes. Yeah, but that's different. You can seal the medical info and still not have the stuff available in the database, Tankrat. I was going to stay quiet and work through with authorities, but he's in Thailand. And we verified that too. We tried to look up the document, Tankrat, ourselves, and you cannot look it up anymore. It's not available to be looked up by the public anymore. I was going to stay quiet and work through with authorities, but he's in Thailand, is discussing how someone would recklessly reviews documents that say unofficial on them because they aren't for the public and read them with disregard to anyone's safety. Not sure what I can say, but I'm told the county is doing an investigation on the matter. Thank you to the streamers that did take the time to redact information, not share at all. Now it will be a long process for me to move, but maybe it's a new chapter for me. Yeah, they seriously messed up. This seems like the court's case fault and not a Lem's. Well, if he did redact the address and names, then he's good, right? But if he didn't redact it, that looks sloppy. That looks like bad optics. The fact that it was leaked on Tectone's Discord is what had people wondering if he was behind it before it was discovered it was a glitch. Now, there's a lot of people that say that she's, you know, saying this because she feels like it looks bad to her and she's trying to hide it. I mean, to be fair, she's just saying that she doesn't want her info in there. She's not saying not to view them, not to read them. She's just saying she didn't want to be doxxed. Like, I feel like you can review the document and just, like, borrow out those info. That's it. That's it. That's all. There's no addresses and names. There was no address and names or public record. Tankrat. You can't use that argument in the VTubing community. Yes, all names are public records. Like, doxing is not illegal, technically, but it's in bad form, right? It's bad optics. That's always what we said. We're in the VTubing community too. That's always been the case. These things have never changed. Yes, most doxing involves public information. When people say it's public information, that's KF the defense. And also, Elm has criticized Hassan for the same thing, calling it doxing too. Yeah, like, addresses are public records too, phone numbers too. That doesn't mean we should blast them over the internet. It's bad form. Sure, it's not illegal, but you're not supposed to do it. That's like when people were saying they were going in my Discord and saying like, oh, well, it's a public Discord, but I'm making 2,000 alts to ban evade, and then they would admit to ban evading. It's like the same kind of line of argument. Then you fall into the really schizo territory. Like, didn't Hassan show he showed some information, some tax information about a streamer, and everybody was saying that he was doxing people, like LM included? So I don't think we can change our argument there. We gotta be, you know, consistent. Now, Tectone's name, that was already out there because Tectone himself, you know, has already used it and showed it when it came to his father's lawsuit, right? But Pink Shoe's name, I don't think anybody knew her name. Imagine her name is out there if anyone cared enough. I mean, I imagine a lot of people's names out there if people cared enough. So anyway, like, look, I like LM as a person. I don't have to agree with the take. I still can't think that this was a little bit of a sloppy presentation if the names weren't redacted. I just think it's bad optics. Yeah, it could have been like a genuine mistake, and you can just, you know, he can go back and redact them. I mean, trust me, you can use a name to harass and stalk somebody too. One thing leads to another very quickly. Anyway, in the first case, the documents shouldn't have been available to the public. If they wanted to know what happened, they would have needed to know the date of the court, the location it happened, and send somebody there to take notes like Miskiff did with his ghouls. Stuff can be redacted from the public filings when protective orders are involved. All right, thank you, Carl. Oh yeah, I want to show this thing on Miskiff, because there's actually more on him. But first, a little laugh. He made the funniest fucking tweet the other day. he did a TLDR of Tectone essay, abuser stuff, multimillionaire, 32-year bald male, yada yada. Tectone only wanted head from his girlfriend. But then, why did he have to add that line at the end? There's more, but I'm on a date with a doctor. This is the cringiest tweet I've ever read. Why? See, this is why no one... He could have found the golden city. He could find like real proof that the alien existed. And people still wouldn't take him seriously. Demon Time needs to chill a little bit. He needs to chillax. Yeah, he could have found the cure for cancer and people still wouldn't take him seriously because he tweets shit like this. Demon Time needs to have a demo team time first.
Bit about a Tectone combat. I ain't gonna talk. I will say that you know, a lot of people have been outspoken wanting me to talk about the Tectone or the Lucari thing. I'm gonna just kind of lay this out straight up, flat out, just straight, like 100%. I'm in a lawsuit right now. I'm being sued for defamation, and any comments that I could make about either of those cases could be used as evidence to further create a case against me in the existing defamation lawsuit that I have now. I don't want to give that any more oxygen. I don't want to prolong that at all. And the only thing I want to do is be over with it, and then as soon as I'm over with it, then I'm going to talk about it. But I can't talk about that shit at all because of the lawsuit, and that's the reason why. It can be used as additional information, and it can be leveraged as additional, basically arguments to prove any sort of a point against me. So that's the reason why. That's the reason why I'm not talking about it. It's purely because of the lawsuit. That's the only reason. If it wasn't because of that, I'd be talking about it. So just keep that in mind. As soon as the lawsuit's over, we can talk about a lot of things, right? So I just want to let you guys know that, it's not like I condone or support any of that shit or anything else, but I cannot go and make any comments or anything else just for that reason. I'm not going to give it any fuel to the fire. Just keep that in mind.
I mean, look, I don't agree with all of Asmon's take, but I think I can understand this one.
And I finished that, and in the short term, I see it does make me look bad. I'm not talking about it. Sometimes there's shit you've got to eat. If you read the court filings and everything of the lawsuit, you'll understand what my trepidation is, and you want to get into that, go ahead. So it's all public information, right? I mean, like, what the fuck? So there you go.
True, and Miskiff might also be said he was gonna sue Lucari because Lucari said he got the notepad links from Miskiff, so he's planning to sue even more people. 2026 is a year where everybody's suing each other, and a lot of people are gonna be very lip-tied about a lot of things. He's suing the dog, the cat, the random guy installing his internet. But I'm happy to learn that LM did redact the addresses from the documents. I wouldn't have liked that. That would have made me sad. Okay, do you guys want to see something funny just to bring up the mood before the next segment? You guys want to see something funny? A year? You think it's gonna take 2 years for this lawsuit? It's confirmed that LM redacted them? Well, we have he's a good chatter of mine, and he's a good chatter of LM, and he watched the stream. He's telling us there was no addresses in the doc. Yeah, they weren't even there in the first place. Only after she privacy violation striked him on YouTube? Yeah, maybe he'll say why he privated at some point. If she did strike him, I'm sure he will say it, right? I'm sure he would say it. If I have to, fine, I will. No amount of gaslighting or brigading will stop publication and open discussion of open court docs. I will also offer these docs to anyone, whether pro-pink, pro-Tectone, or neutral, to anyone requesting them politely by email or DM. Attempting to hide what you've discussed in open court is a telltale sign of bad faith. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. But I'm just gonna wait for the live stream to be unprivated to check that information myself. But if it was a glitch and the files were not meant to be public in the first place, it's probably unwise to tweet about wanting to distribute them. It's legal document, he doesn't need to redact them. It's good form to redact private information, even if it's legal documents, yes. Like, if you look at he's done it before. Open his YouTube channel should be the first video, it says part 2. And, again, I've said it before because some people are repeating that in chat. They're public, they might not be they're not meant to be easily viewed online, but they're still public info. That's literally the argument that doxers have, by the way. You can't use that argument. You can't use it. Like, everything is public info. Would you guys say that about me too? If I was getting doxed? Oh, well, her name was public info? No, you would feel bad. You'd be like, that's fucking shitty, and nobody should have to go through that. It's just good manners to redact that. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Hey, you! Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell button. And I'll see you in the next video.